Board of Education is hereby called to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Joel?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
Here.
Mr. Childs?
Here.
Mr. Carly?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Here.
Dr. McWilliams?
Here. Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Carly?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Joel?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Dr. McWilliams?
Yes. Okay, we're going to begin this evening with visitors who wish to address the board. And I have 3 here. So I wonder if one writes about the summer job. I didn't know if that was part of the presentation or if you want to address the board. Part of the presentation? Oh, hold on just a second.
You want us to go ahead and start first?
Sure. Why don't we do that? Perfect.
So I have 3 students who are here tonight. As you guys know, we have several students who have been employed over the summer through the district. They have completed technology jobs, landscaping, maintenance, custodial work. I feel like I'm missing something. And childcare. And childcare through daycare. So they're gonna just talk to you guys a little bit about their experiences and how the summer jobs have assisted them. So. Go ahead. Connor, you wanna go first?
I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to work for the IT since I am going into cybersecurity for my career. This is a great step and experience. I learned a lot while working for the IT. I think this is a great first job opportunity for anybody that's going to IT. I greatly appreciated the flexible hours that worked around my Rochester soccer practice.
I'm getting over sickness, so apologize for my voice, but I worked at the Blackhawk Children's Academy, and it was such a great experience. I mean, those kids are amazing, and it was fun throughout the entire summer. I would love to go into children's psychology or therapy, and so getting that experience with them not only helped me to get to know kids, but also helped me, you know, in the future if I want any jobs. So that's a great opportunity.
I worked with the tech department over the summer. It's a great experience to do. It's gonna help me in the future with future problems I have. Yeah, I recommend it to anyone who wants to do it.
Thank you. I think we have one more student right there. Do you want to just share with us what you did this summer with your summer work?
I worked at Rochester CUSD during the summer, and I think it was a very good, not only with like getting experience with kids, but to be able to like put that into practice. I wanted to do that as an opportunity when I'm older, and I think it was just overall it was super fun and good to know all the kids and everyone who worked with me. And it was just a great opportunity, and I enjoyed working there. So and continuing during the school year.
Thank you. Mrs. Shaw, do you want to share anything?
I don't need to share anything else.
Okay,
I
we
feel like
have-
I talked about summer work a lot.
We have gifts for all 4 of you. Oh, meet you in the middle right there.
Thank you so much for working with everybody this summer.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. Thank you, teacher.
I'm not on the soccer team. That's on the state person. You're like one of your coaches. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Connor, CACC has a cybersecurity program.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm security is like.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, it's a good experience. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to visitors who wish to address the board, and I have Ashley Coker. But I didn't have the topic, I'm sorry. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Coker. My husband Kyle and I are both graduates of Rochester High School. We have 4 children, two of whom have graduated from Rochester High School and 2 who currently attend Rochester schools. Our children are 4th generation Rochester graduates, and we are proud of them. Tonight, I would like to first thank the school district for providing the undesignated medications of epinephrine, albuterol, and naloxone, which are now available to students in case of medical emergency and in compliance with the school's policies. I would also like to thank board member Amy Johnson for communicating with me and updating me regarding the district's undesignated glucagon policy. Amy heard my concerns about student safety and has followed up with the district regarding the lack of undesignated glucagon for students. She is the only board member of the administration, or staff member who connected with me after I spoke at the school board meeting in May of 2024. I have seen on the website now that the school has deleted its entire published policy stating that the school should provide undesignated glucagon for students. It is important to note that when the board made other modifications to the policy regarding students and medications in January of 2024, the undesignated glucagon policy remained in the information provided to board members and to the public in the board packet, and no changes were made to the undesignated glucagon portion of the policy when it came to voting. It remained in policy until after I spoke at the board meeting in May of 2024. My understanding was that this policy was now deleted and not actually voted on by the school board to remove it because the administration believed that the policy was added to and published to the school's written and publicly posted policy by error or accident. I'm going to focus on implementing an undesignated glucagon policy tonight. However, I do find it curious that the Rochester School District's policies are so vulnerable that they can be edited and published for the public who rely on these written policies with incorrect information for several years without being noticed by any board members or members of the administration. Steps should be taken to protect the school board policy integrity, because without its integrity, parents, students, and staff could ask for proof of a school board vote or audit any written policies that affect students and staff, opening a whole new can of worms. I also feel that deleting the policy without publicly recognizing any errors, especially to the students and the families whose lives that it impacted, was in very poor judgment. After all, Mr. Cox has previously pointed out that there were less than 10 students utilizing glucagon within the district. I'm interested to know if other errors were found and deleted within the school's policy, or if undesignated glucagon was the only policy that was removed without any warning. So I'm here tonight to ask the board, policy committee members, and wellness committee members to please consider adding glucagon as an undesignated medication and available to all students within the district in case of an emergency. Glucagon is an emergency medication for type 1 diabetics and people using pharmaceutical insulin in the event of a very low blood sugar. It is shelf stable at room temperature and could be added to the cabinets that store the district's other undesignated medications. As I mentioned previously, if a student is experiencing a low blood sugar and does not have access to glucagon, they very realistically risk becoming unconscious, having a seizure, and dying. Students with medical needs should also be medically safe at school. The district is now providing access to emergency medications to those with asthma, those with allergies, and those at risk of drug overdose. So also protecting your diabetics makes a lot of sense. Without access to undesignated glucagon, you put students at risk. You also potentially put your school nurses in a position where, if a student needs glucagon and theirs is not accessible, the nurse will either have to choose to wait for emergency responders, putting their student at further risk the longer that they wait, or choose to use another student's glucagon, risking their nursing license and their career. Rochester has excellent nurses, and we are fortunate to have nurses on every campus. It is important to ensure that they never face an impossible choice when caring for students. Being in the position of choosing to save a student's life and risking their own career is the reason why House Bill 822, allowing the undesignated use of glucagon in schools, was passed in 2019. Governor J.B. Pritzker was quoted saying that ensuring schools across the state have access to glucagon will better serve our students, parents, and communities. People with diabetes depend on this life-saving drug, and now students will always have access at a moment's notice. As part of Rochester's tradition of excellence, I encourage you again to implement an undesignated glucagon policy as part of the Rochester School District.
Thank you. Sarah Curley?
Keep it real short. Very much appreciated. Mr. Kaler, very much appreciated the discernible budget document. That was lovely. I thank you very much for that. Thank you for the time. I enjoyed the conversation during the finance committee meeting. I think that level of detail will be really helpful during the 30 days that the budget is on public, is available to the public. So that if there were concerns or issues or questions, people could bring them to their board members before there is a vote. But that is a step in the right direction. It's lovely to see that my math and the 51 million made sense
every year.
today. It did not make sense in my living room. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. We'll be now entering into closed session. Is there a motion to enter closed session for the purposes of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students? Thank you. Second. Call the roll.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Carly?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Joel?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Dr. McGuinness?
Yes. Okay, we have
That was to accommodate our.
I assumed as much. I go, there's one in here, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, she's got long paper. That I do know. That I.
We have already done approval of consent agenda. I'm gonna move into acceptance of donations.
The Board of Education accepts and with thanks, Diebold Tees donation to all of our kindergartners, who gave Rochester Spirit Wear t-shirts to every kindergarten student. Big thanks to them. Also with thanks to, Justy Cody Dickerson, literacy aide at Rochester Intermediate Building, who, gave a donation, after winning the Bank of Springfield School giveaway. Very kind. And with thanks and condolences, a memorial donation from Donna Kurtner to the girls soccer program in memory of her late husband, Andy Kurtner. Okay, minutes. Are there any, is there any discussion for the board? Approval of, oh gosh, where are we here? Oh no, that's consent. Give me a second. That's consent agenda. Did that. Financial reports. Dr. Kaler?
You have financial reports, the cash flow analysis, which is the expenditures and revenues that come in, and you can see both July and August in there. I do want to let you know that, remember, starting in September, the expenditures will be much higher than ed funds because the teachers' salaries are encumbered in June or July and August.
Thank you.
We actually voted on it.
I did at the beginning.
We did at the very beginning.
The very beginning.
Oh, that was just the regular agenda.
It was a regular agenda.
Oh,
We did
okay
not
then.
consent.
Yeah.
I
that-
apologize.
Good point, good point.
I don't have that written.
She asked me and I said, yeah, we approved that, so you can blame me for
Okay.
that one.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Dr. Magolius.
Yes.
Mr. Carly.
Yes.
Financial reports. Dr. Kaler, are you finished?
The only other one is the investment report. That's our Illinois funds account. It does have all three of our CDs in that, in those balances that are given. And this week, we received our fifth tax distribution. So after bills are paid, there will be another transfer over that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion from the board? Is there a motion to approve the bills as presented?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Dr. Magolius.
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mr. Childs.
Mr. Reed, will you please start us, where are you? Will you please start us off this evening with administrator reports?
Yes, I have 24 highlights I'd like to review.
Okay.
So first things first, National Merit Scholarship, approximately 1.5 million students took the PSAT. The top 34,000 are designated committed students. This year, our Rochester High School has two, Maria Olson and Lacey Steck. More than 16,000, the top scorers, representing less than 1% of the nation's high school graduating seniors, qualify as semifinalists. This year, Rochester had one finalist, Tucker Lloyd. So Tucker is currently working on his application and be competing to be recognized as a finalist. So that's very exciting for us. Fall sports and activities are in full swing. Speaking of full swing, Rochester High School golfer senior Eleanor Chudel scored a hole-in-one at Lincoln Green just recently. So that was pretty cool.
Fun.
And that was pretty exciting for her. And the senior painted a lot. We had a great time Sunday. I got here about 10 o'clock. And at 10:30, the kids started painting. I left at 4:30 and the kids were still painting till the wee hours of the night. Because the kids were still painting here. So that's been going very well. If you get a chance to come in and see what the seniors have done, they had a lot of fun. A great time. Good time for families. It was a great event on Sunday. It was a little warm. We had water and food for all the kids and they had a really good time. The students and staff at Rochester High School participated in the state required fire, law enforcement, bus evacuation drills. And that's pretty much, there's more I could read, but we'll just stop right there and move on to the other building. Thank you.
Curiosity question.
Yeah.
Any chance Lacey is a younger sister of Grace?
Yes.
Because I think Grace was on that list too.
Yep.
Mr. Reed, I wanted to thank you for doing the parking lot painting. I heard great feedback. It sounds like it was a great really community event. I know a lot, the kids were there, the parents were there. I wasn't able to make it. I was with one of the other kids, but I want to thank you for taking your time to do that. It's a great event.
Thanks.
Driving through now, seeing the paintings done and then the tennis courts with the girls practicing tonight. That was awesome to see. Thank you. Mrs. Poole?
I'm gonna keep it brief. Tomorrow is our first Rocket Crew meetings with 8th, 9th, and 10th graders leading Rocket Crew. These are the same groups we started in Rocket Lunch for both our current 7th and 8th graders. We're excited to keep that going and expand it to 2 grade levels this year. Friday morning, we have our first Fun Friday, which has been completely planned by Mrs. Resnick, leader in the elective class. The students have done all of the planning, so we're excited for that. Followed by a Rocket Rally planned by our Rocket Crew leaders. And then in your packet, I detailed some data for you regarding our IAR scores from spring of 2024. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Our 7th graders, these are current 8th graders, last year 7th graders, showed steady improvement in both ELA and reading. Our 8th grade had a huge jump in our reading, so we're super excited about those numbers, and they continue to show steady growth in math. And we attribute a lot of that to some of these activities that we do that really build that connectedness to school.
Thank you. Mr. Tolan?
All right, if I don't stay.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
We've been doing a lot more activities, trying to get parents in and also doing some more hands-on type of things. Ms. Bartolozzi, who, and Ms. Graham, did some volcano building with her class. You may have seen pictures on social media. We also had parents come in and assist with that. They studied the volcano at work, and then they built some in the classroom. Our Lighthouse and our Leader in Me initiative this year has to do with student accountability and student goals, as well as classroom and school-wide goals. So all of our kids got custom agendas that have the Rocket logo and everything on them. And they have a folder where they keep track of their own goals. And the big goals for our kids this year are being prepared, being on time in class, and being responsible for their stuff. They track that every day, and we're tracking that data. Some data and maybe a presentation later this year on how that's going with this beginning initiative. Our motto this year is we rise to lead. So we're working on student leadership throughout our building so that they're ready when they go to the schools building and do all the cool stuff they're doing over there. And then finally, I want to highlight Mrs. Newton, Mrs. Kramer, and Ms. Harble, who have done a ton with our Tuesday reading initiatives. They've done some videos they sent out with some of our staff reading, and the kids have gotten into it so much that we did our first student book read and book talk that went out yesterday. So kids really get into it. Positive feedback. We do some stop everything and reads throughout the day, and kids are doing reading in classrooms with flashlights and all kinds of things. Just trying to promote reading this year throughout it.
Thank you. Mr. Kreppel?
To kind of piggyback off Mr. Tolan, actually, I would like to thank our library staff and our instructional coaches who are doing a lot with our Ready Set Read initiative this year. Just trying to get books in our kids' hands and reading a lot, taking videos of them reading and just getting them, just trying to read and comprehend. And they're doing a wonderful job with it. It's awesome to see them walking around with books, and then they get to see themselves on the bulletin board with their pictures of them reading at home and in the classroom. It's really cool to see. We also completed our AIMSWeb testing, so we're looking at data to kind of see where we are with reading. That's what I'm excited to kind of see how we're progressing and where we are to start the year. And we're looking to get more experiences of STEM in our classrooms. I know Mrs. Tim is working really hard to organize times with our classroom teachers to try and get more experiences for our students. And then as far as the STEM projects. And just events coming up. We have homecoming coming up. You'll start to see information about the days, the dress up days for that, and our 2nd grade Western Day. It's going to be Friday, October 4th.
Thank you. Mrs. Van Fossen?
First, I want to just thank you guys for coming to High Five Friday last Friday. Those of you that couldn't make it, any Friday that you want to join us, I'm always out there with the speaker. So please, you don't even have to tell me. You can just show up. I'm there, and I have some really awesome stickers that you can have. Kindergarten has their pumpkin patch field trip coming up, which is very exciting. And then kind of piggybacking on everybody before me, we are kind of developing our student leaders this year, and Mrs. Herman has worked really hard with empowering our 1st graders to set up our pre-K cots. As you know, pre-K has exploded in our building. And we have a ton of pre-K cots that have to be set up from the time they go to lunch to the time they come back for nap time. And so we have a group of about 20 1st grade students that take about 10 to 15 minutes out of their day and independently walk from their classroom down to the pre-K classrooms and set up each individual cot with the kids' blankets every day. I know to some that sounds really little, but it is a huge deal. And now we have another group that's starting, that our initial leaders are training those leaders. So Mrs. Harmon took the time to train the initial group, and now we have leaders training leaders, which has been really great.
And we're talking about 6-year-olds.
6-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
fantastic.
really awesome to be, and it directly affects our teachers, and our teachers really appreciate it. So they're setting up anywhere between 15 and 20 cots in a classroom with blankets. So it's awesome.
And I want to say that starting out your Friday, high-fiving these kids is amazing.
See a few dance routines.
Yep.
It's a really,
I know, it was, the rest of the day was downhill real fast.
it's a really awesome thing.
It is, we love it.
Some of us don't even have to squat down to high five them.
All right, Mrs. Keller?
I wanted to share a couple of things. We had our first monthly mentoring meeting on September 10th at the EC1 building. They were nice enough to host us. With that being said, we really dedicated our time to supporting our staff with the evaluation process. So whether it's all new to them, whether they came to us from another district, things look different, or it's their first experience being evaluated, we walked through that in detail and provided them with a number of resources and support, and really had some great conversation related to that process. The other item I wanted to make sure to share this evening is that our first curriculum and instruction council meeting will be held on the 25th of this month. So I'm excited to kick things off and look forward to bringing proposals to you all throughout the year.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a number of new special education staff, either they're in a new positions this year or they're new to our district. And so I just wanted to make sure that for all of the work that they're doing to make sure that our staff feel welcomed and prepared in the district. Repeatedly, I have staff at all the buildings that have come up and just let me know what a great staff we have all together, how they are welcomed, how they feel like everything, all the supports that are in place from administration to their mentors to even just their teams that they're on are very beneficial to them and help them. Just wanted to make sure that that was stated out loud.
Thank you.
Just want to point out my report that we are looking at getting our new buses hopefully early to mid-October to help with the fleet of maintenance. And then also that the HVAC unit for the 2-3 building should be here probably after the first of the year. It's a 14-week lead time to get that in.
I'm happy to report that communication wise, this year we have an initiative where our principals and assistant principals are the voice leaders of their buildings. And we had a goal of a post or communication to their schools through their social media page, 1 post per day at least. High school is exceeding that by several. But everybody is doing a spectacular job and doing that. Likewise, positive media stories. We had 6 media placements in the last month. The 7th one is tomorrow, where News Channel 20 will be highlighting one of our high school students for her achievements in the classroom and on the golf course.
Great, thank you. Mr. Cox, Superintendent report.
Well, first, I'd just like to thank everyone for the successful start of school. It's always, I think I repeated myself that the space between August and Labor Day is like drinking water to a fire hose, but then we settle into routines. But we've had a lot of just really cool events. Just this week, I had the opportunity to talk to a reporter from K-12 Guide, which will be doing an article on positive culture and climate. So it was an opportunity to brag on our schools. And John was able to provide some pictures for that article. And just in the last 2 weeks, some of the things that have occurred in our schools are a real testament to our principals and our teachers and all the cool things that are happening within the schools. I wasn't even sure. I was aware of all the different things that had occurred. Saw a few pictures and some funny pictures of a few people. So I'll be excited to share those out. But we have settled into those routines of the school year and some exciting things happening. Believe it or not, we are at the midterm of the first quarter already, which is really hard to believe. So here we are. And we'll be looking forward to reporting on some of our student achievement data. We're doing benchmark testing. That opened up that last week. I think those benchmark dates opened up and we're able to report on all that. We have some exciting things with student growth as we reported last month. A couple other things, we are going to be sending out a communication to our community here as early as this week, as soon as John can get it edited, I think, we'll be sending it out, but it does highlight a couple of things, updates from construction, but also our strategic planning, which is the next step in that journey of a rocket learner that we have. We've communicated with the board and the community a few times about once we have those clear expectations set that we'd like to see our students know and be able to do. The next piece was to build a plan. We did solicit feedback from our staff and community about what was important to them within our strategic plan, and we've had writing teams working with Battelle for Kids over the course of the summer. There's writing teams of administrators throughout the district and other personnel who've been working on that, and we're actually meeting with writing team leads, I believe this Friday, after school. We're meeting with writing team leads to see what work they've done. We'll be submitting that work back to the teams to go and refine it. And then we'll be having a focus group of teachers, students, and community members to look at the work that the writing teams have done to then bring a strategic plan. We hope to the board by December is the goal, to bring that finished strategic plan. And then also stay interviews. I didn't put this in our communication to the community. It's more internal. We have sent this to our staff though. Stay interviews will be launching the first round. We'll be launching the end of the month. Yeah, on Monday. And it's a random sampling of 50 people, and we'll be sending those out monthly. We're excited for that. Oh, and last but not least, I didn't forget, the tennis sports are mostly done. We got to go through the punch list. So it's been a good process. It's been a long process, but we're excited to have that first step done. We do have to go through the punch list set tomorrow with that. So there are a few things that need to be fixed and updated on that, but the substantial completion looks like that's going to be it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business, there's a policy, let's see, the policy committee and the finance committee both held meetings on September 4th. Mr. Jewell, you're going to give us an update on the recent policy changes or updates.
Yeah, so as you know, the policy committee met, we did discuss the kind of recent changes, recent updates, walk through just both the routine updates as well as some of the more specific updates. There was a recommendation for compensatory time off, just kind of solidifying that process. One other kind of important thing that we did talk about is there's actually a wellness committee meeting scheduled to review this, but it is further kind of reviewing the designated group on the implementation of that policy. See if that can be worked through appropriately with the nursing staff and the people that have to handle that on a day-to-day basis. And as others have stated, we have amazing nursing staff. Tackle that, we want to make sure that will be brought forward, not for approval today, but
The press update 117 is when we would look at that first reading, which is probably going to be, we would see that in October or November.
Thank you. Mr. Carley, would you like to do the finance committee update?
Be happy to. We also met the same day on the finance committee report, and I had four kind of points I wanted to make and share about the committee meeting. First, the committee reviewed the full year 2025 district budget, which was presented during the public hearing. The budget, I think, reflects an ongoing effort to plan for the fiscal needs to support the district's education programs, and I appreciate all the hard work that went into getting that done. Second, the administration presented and reviewed the procedures for the use of credit cards, and importantly, the internal controls that are in place, which are aligned with the board policy for 55 regarding the use of credit procurement cards. We felt that the procedure ensures strict oversight by the business office, including key controls such as issuing cards only to authorized individuals, requiring annual policy compliance affirmation, and providing training on the proper use of credit cards. So we appreciated that update and discussion. Third, the committee also reviewed the NCL government capital lease agreement. Pending board approval of the recommendation for scoreboards, the lease will be updated with accurate figures, reviewed and finalized for the board's consideration. So just to be clear, there was just a discussion regarding that potential financing opportunity related to the school boards. And there'll be more information forthcoming on that. Finally, the committee discussed a first draft of the district's advertising and sponsorship plan for the scoreboards in the construction project. The plan aims to generate significant revenue for the school district by offering valuable sponsorship opportunities for the district's extracurricular facilities. It's easy for you to say. It's designed to maximize the sponsorship exposure through both digital and static mediums, building long-term relationships that benefit the district and the sponsors. And I think that really is an exciting opportunity to add some additional revenue to accomplish some of the extracurricular activities that the district wants to accomplish. So I appreciate the very thoughtful and creative approach that was taken.
Yeah, I would just add on that, so the two things, the capital lease and the advertising plan kind of go hand in hand.
They do.
It's a mechanism to help fund those and the board. I have not yet got Don's agreement for us to do a dancing video on that scoreboard. What the cost of my dancing on the floor might be, but
I'm in.
We're trying to raise money, not lose it.
Well, that's,
get people out of the stadium at the end.
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, that'll take us to the building committee report, and the building committee met on September 13th, and Mr. Hannah or Mrs. Johnson, which of you?
I'll take it. So we reviewed the scoreboard proposals that we received. And just to give a little background, we worked with Trent Polker, who is a scoreboard genius. I mean, he knows anything and everything about scoreboards, and it's such a specialized piece of equipment that we utilize his services to help us procure scoreboards, not only just the video board for the new stadium, but also scoreboards and video boards throughout the rest of the district. So he was able to help us procure those and diligently go through each contractor and make sure that they know what they're doing and that they're providing apples to apples with all the other proposals that came in. I believe we had Daktronics, and for Metco was the low bid for all the products, and it came in under budget. Not only just for the video board and the scoreboard, but there's video boards at the rack, scoreboards at, I believe, correct me if I'm
Football,
wrong, Dan.
soccer, baseball, softball.
Yeah, so we're covering the gamut of all the sports for scoreboards. So that was one of our goals with this whole project, is to do our best to save money and spread the wealth throughout all the sports and all the facilities, so that, you know, it's not just about one specific sport. So I think we reached our goal and exceeded it as far as my opinion. We also as well talked about the marketing and advertisement plan, just in the fact of, you know, how it's going to affect the facilities and what we're going to get out of it. But I think we're all on the same page that will be a benefit to the district and it's also a benefit to the community for them to be able to display their advertising for their small businesses. We've set up a tiered plan. I don't know what the tiers are off the top of my head, but you know, there's a larger plan, and then it goes all the way down to a smaller plan where even a small business here in Rochester can put some money towards that and feel like they're involved and get their advertising out there. So that was the goal there.
Thing I'd add was that the scoreboard company that was low bidder that will be recommended, also part of it is an element of on-site training, and then longer term, like a training class at the high school so that the kids can get involved in it. And there are a lot of kids who that is their interest, that's their desire. And so that is something that's also a very big positive for the company that's been selected.
And Mr. Hawkins indicated that they are going to have a class dedicated towards, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, sports marketing. So they're going to be the ones running the scoreboard. And I asked that specific question, who's going to run this thing? So yeah, it's a big deal.
Big screen panels and display around the campus.
Not for this portion, no, this is just for the sports.
I wanted to add that one thing I think that you shared with me, which is the scoreboard is gonna be kind of multifunctional, even used for some classrooms, a movie night, that isn't just gonna be kind of a football scoreboard, it's gonna have
Correct. Yeah,
a
there's,
broad use, which I thought was really exciting.
yeah, there's multifunction to the whole process, so yes, absolutely.
That's nice.
Pending approval, what Amy is referring to, the company will also pay to have 2 students and 2 teachers travel to Atlanta for a scoreboard summer camp where they'll be able to learn from the Marvel Studios producers and those type of people, which is a really cool opportunity for the kids in the classes.
Okay, thank you. We have approval of updates and revisions to Board of Ed policies for the second reading. This is policy update 115. Compensatory time off. Policy 5310, which proposes limits on the accumulation of compensatory time and sets a time frame for its utilization. Any further discussion from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the updates and revisions to Board of Education policies?
So moved.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Dr. Magoulias.
Yes. Oh, I just saw first name. I thought,
I started to.
are we down on him? If I have first name, okay. Okay.
Oh, to back up real quick on our building committee, we did also talk about sound and lights, so those are all within our packet as well. I just read further, I'm like, I forgot to talk about that, so
When you're done, can I have
they're-
that? I didn't get it yet.
they're
You have
both gonna
grade it
be
Right here.
good products.
Thank you. We have approval of light scoreboard and sound system upgrades for RHS Outdoor Athletic Complex and the rack.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Call a roll, please.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Carly.
Yes.
Mr. Joel.
Yeah.
Dr. Magoulias.
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
And finally, we have approval of Rochester CUSD 3A budget for fiscal year 25. Is there any further discussion from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the budget fiscal year 25?
So moved.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Dr. Magoulias,
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mr. Joel.
Okay, for new business, we have first reading of board policy update 116, which has undergone committee review and is in your packet. Any questions or comments on this? This is first reading. It will come through again. Okay, we have the first reading of Rochester Advertising and Marketing Participation Agreement. First reading again. Any questions or comments tonight? Okay. And we're ready to take action on items discussed in closed session. Is there a motion to approve the personnel report as presented? Okay.
Move to recommend that we remove the resignation of Megan Dorfler, Layla Guthrie from the board.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the personnel report as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Dr. Magoulias,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds.
Yes.
There's a motion to deny the resignation of a certified teacher. Is there a motion to deny the resignation of Megan Dorfler?
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Dr. Magolius.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve a resolution to dismiss and authorize notice of dismissal and charges of Blake Tippett?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Dr. Magolius,
Yes.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Is there a motion for approval of early graduation requests?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mrs. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Carly,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mr. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Dr. Magolius.
Yes.
You have.
Okay, miscellaneous. Is there any other board business or discussion that did not fall in previous sections of the agenda?
Yes. One, we need a delegate to be registered for the delegate assembly. Chris, are you going this year and would you mind being the delegate again? Is somebody willing to be our delegate at the delegate assembly? Again, I can do both duties because I will be there in the capacity as a resolutions chair. I just like having somebody else have the experience of being there and voting for our district.
I cannot. I have an ICPEA meeting that afternoon or at that time.
Okay. If nobody wants it, even you were getting ready to speak. Do you want to do it?
I was just gonna say, maybe if there's a way to determine it later, I mean.
No,
I
she's got to register
Got
somebody.
to register it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Carrie's got to register one of us.
I probably can't commit to that right now.
Okay, would you mind registering me as our delegate?
I have, are you done?
I had one more, kind of two things in one. So, next Monday, or I guess Tuesday morning, I'm leaving for Mexico for 9 days. And that means two things. One, I can't be at the tennis court opening, which I think I have the strongest personal connection. It's killing me. So somebody take good pictures. But more importantly, I don't come home until late the day of our dinner meeting, the ISB dinner meeting, which this time is probably the best use of a dinner meeting we've had in years. There's going to be a bunch of state legislators there that you can talk to and advocate school things. Todd says he's registered. Anybody else that wants to go to that dinner meeting, Carrie can register you. And I'm encouraging as many people as possible to go to that because it's a good opportunity to talk to state lawmakers about school issues.
That was my
It's
announcement.
it's killing me that I can't go. Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
usurped
no,
you.
That's okay. There's the printout of that if anybody wants to read that information instead of searching through your email for it. Okay, done.
Done.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Well, we'll have that after or in the next meeting or a conversation with Mr. Cox.